Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Orrin Klopper. Orrin, thanks so much for joining us.
Awesome.
So tell everybody a little bit about, you are up to some cool things in the world. Tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll go back in time.
Okay, great. So our purpose is supporting the dreams of the doers, which for a technology company, you might think, what does that mean? So we've really founded our purpose on the back of building a culture that was really great for the balance of our people. We realized pretty early on, if we were going to achieve something great, we needed to have a culture that encouraged people to be balanced and do truly great work. And then from there, it rippled into our customers and how we could have an impact on their lives. And as we've leaned into acquisitive growth, our purpose has amplified in meaning and has had a huge impact on our acquisitive growth. So that's kind of a snapshot of where we are right now.
Awesome. So I apologize if I missed it. What exactly does the business do?
We're a managed services business, which is kind of the industry term, but for a business, we either are the IT department or we augment their IT department. And our typical sort of customer profile, Seth, is 25 to 1,000 user environments.
Awesome. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. So for that business that is 25 to 1,000, if you're going to be my outsourced IT department, how do I know if I need you? What's going wrong that would alert me to needing a company like yours?
You're finding it very difficult to make the most of the technology that you already have in your business. It's unreliable, it's unpredictable, and you're struggling to collaborate in your team, number one. Number two, you're not able to leverage that either for a competitive advantage or for your growth. And I'd say thirdly, you've either had a breach, some type of cyber breach, that the maths of that is particularly, and the probability of that is particularly amplified if an organization's technology is not managed well. Those are probably three dynamics off the cuff.
Is your normal client already, do they have an IT person? Do they have a subcontractor? On the smaller side, let's say 25, 50 employees. For example, I think we have IT people that are another company, but I don't actually know what specifically they do, or, for example, what we're paying for.
Yes. Yeah. So typically you have two buckets in our ideal customer profile. One, they've always outsourced it and they have an existing managed service partner. And then the other is they have an internal IT leader who's either trying to control and manage everything or partnering on some elements of that sort of scope of the technology that they're managing. That's typically, we charge a monthly fee, and we're held accountable to certain service levels. We do typically 12-month agreements, but we found in our industry, if we're not delivering and the customers are not happy, we're very good at exiting that relationship in a professional way.
Well, that's good, but obviously we don't want anybody to ever want to leave. So what is managed service? What services are you managing? What does the day-to-day look like? How does a company interact with you on the smaller side? And then we'll flip the coin and talk about a larger company.
Yeah, sure. So I think there are three specific areas. Two of them are the red oceans you could ever imagine, Seth. And the other is our very own blue ocean, and long may it last. The first two are the core managed service, where you've got a service desk. You either send an email or you phone the service desk to say, I've got a problem, can you help me? Below that, there are a whole lot of things that are happening proactively. So that's the managed service. That's the one way we interact with our customers. The second way is around security, and there are quite a few elements in that. And that, again, is a very red ocean. There are many companies that do that. We believe we do both of those particularly well, but because there are over 20,000 managed service providers in the US alone, it is very competitive. So the managed service, the core managed service, the managed security service, and then the third is what we call our managed innovation service. So we looked at our customer base and our demographic. We look at typically, Seth, is organizations that are using the Microsoft technology stack, and they're using Office 365, and they potentially have a lot of automation opportunities. So we built a service around Office 365, leveraging Power Platform, which is Power BI and Power Automate. And we felt that there's this huge opportunity to enhance productivity, automation, and adoption in that space. So a service like this might be $3,000 a month. And in a 12-month period, we will find $36,000 worth of ROI, or we carry on working until we do. So it's in a very sweet spot. There's a lot of opportunity, and we're willing to guarantee the outcome.
Well, that's obviously incredible that you're able to do that, which speaks volumes to your results and your confidence level, and that you've already done it. So when you talk about managed innovation, when you talk about guaranteeing an ROI, how are you generating that ROI? Because that isn't necessarily just coming from cost savings, I'm presuming. It's coming from value that you're adding. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, for sure. So there are a myriad of opportunities on how we do this, and cost savings is a small part of it. So let's take, for instance, we'll focus in on a department. Let's say, for instance, a company's accounting team. Maybe they're 2 or 3 people. We find some of the highest value processes that they're doing, and we get a sense of how automated they are. And then out of that, we look to see, is it a report that can be automated? Is it a process that can be automated? And so there, typically, let's say there is someone and it saves them 20 hours a month. Let's say the average cost is $100 an hour. So now you've got $2,000 worth of savings a month, as an example. That could be one. Another one is adoption. So what we find, Seth, is a lot of the companies that we're servicing have paid for certain licenses that have an impact on their overall productivity, but their people are not using it. And there's some very simple reporting tools that we use to be able to show what is being used. And it's phenomenal to see if you just make it visible, the adoption just goes up instantly. So from one week to the next, you literally just give those leaders and managers the ability to show whether someone is attaching an email or adding a link in an email to a collaboration platform like Teams. You can report on this and you can show it. And it has a direct impact on productivity and the ability to find documents. Another simple one, take, for example, when the world went into COVID, suddenly now there were back-to-back meetings more than ever before. And this creates disengagement and burnout. So you simply change the default meeting time. If you schedule an hour, it defaults it to 45 minutes. You schedule 30 minutes, it defaults it to 25 minutes. And someone just being able to take 5 minutes, capture a couple of actions, go and grab a coffee, come back, it massively increases their engagement and the quality of their thinking. So there's quite a lot of Gallup research that actually shows what that does to employee engagement and productivity. So those are some of the ways in which we measure the ROI. All the ROI has to be signed off and approved by the contact that is managing our relationship.
And I love that you're basically earning your own money and making it no longer a cost to have you on board, but literally possibly a profit center.
That's it. That's the aspiration.
Well, that's absolutely incredible. Can you give us an example? And if your client identities are confidential, it can just be the ABC company. Can you give us an example of a company, what industry they were in, what size they were, what their issues kind of were, and then kind of that magical transformation you were able to engineer for them?
Yes, for sure. So very much along the lines of the example that I gave, a manufacturing company, they had about 5 people in their accounts department. And when they were generating their monthly financial report, there was a lot of manual processing, recapturing of data, trying to combine different spreadsheets, and quite simply analyzing that process, understanding the amount of time it was taking those team members, and simply leveraging a Power BI report. We were able to save, I think it was in excess of 40 hours a month in that accounts department. And it's not a case of anybody lost their job because of that. It's a case of now they can focus on higher value type of work that can actually have a broader impact on the business.
That is absolutely incredible. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
So I think, if I look at the people I get to work with on a day-to-day basis, it's probably the thing that gives me the most energy. And I also think the growth that we're experiencing right now, Seth, it's really challenging us. It's kind of to the extent where there's butterflies in the stomach, it's like I don't have all the answers. And in that situation, as a leader, I'm forced to let go of things, and you just see the team around you rising up to take up that space and fill it in their own way.
That is beautiful. For our folks who are watching and listening and want to learn more, where is the best place for us to send them to learn more about you and more about the company?
So you can get hold of me on LinkedIn. I'm very responsive on LinkedIn. It's Orrin Klopper on LinkedIn. And you can also go to our website if you want to reach out directly. But yeah, if anything I've said has resonated and you want to reach out to me directly, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I'm very responsive and can get back to you very quickly.
All right. This has been Seth Greene with Orrin Klopper. Orrin, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Seth.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.